I mean, and as well, I've never heard that Mumbai will show you who you are. That's interesting. I can tell my boyfriend that, because he went to Mumbai, went all around India actually, last November for the first time. And he was like, his experience in Mumbai is like, I think probably quite specific, because he was staying with a very rich family, like his friend's family, like, and getting Ubers everywhere, and he was like, the conversion rate is mad, you know, like I got an Uber all the way across town, it was like 21p, like, but like, he's a man, you know, like he's a man, his experience of that is like very different, and like he could get like rickshaws at like 2 a.m. and like hop on the train at 11 and be fine, and like, and as well he's very fair, so like he could go to clubs and like see Jackie Shroff in that club, whereas like if I went, I think there'd be a question of like, can you actually come in, like, okay, you've got a British passport, but like, like you're quite dark, like, I mean, that's wild. I'm gonna think about that a lot now. That like, that's worrying. It makes me not want to go to Mumbai. I don't know who I am.
It can be really hard if firstly you don't have money, or if you're not connected to someone with money. It always helps to, like a friend told me, it always helps to know someone rich in Mumbai. I think the minute that people know that you're connected to someone rich, they don't fuck with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, which is like, again, like it just highlights all of these things that we know already exist in the world within our own infrastructures, but it's so hidden here. It's so like hidden and institutionalized in the UK. But there it's like so overt. It's like, what's your surname? What caste are you from? Also just, the colour of your skin. It's like, you know, if I was like roaming around Mumbai as a light-skinned brown woman, I would have a very different experience. And also like, if I was a light-skinned brown woman that dressed really femme, I would have a very different experience. But I mean,
especially that position as well, is like not just someone from a foreign country, a British Indian, like that kind of like Katrina Kaif syndrome. I'm convinced she's not. Okay, I have a conspiracy theory about Katrina Kaif for afterwards. It's not my conspiracy theory; it's someone else's.
Okay,
but remind me.
Okay.
But like that kind of position of the way Bollywood kind of absorbs that identity quite nicely, and then almost a body that doesn't fit into that kind of sits awkwardly. That's, I mean, it's not interesting. It's quite horrific, I imagine. But maybe we should get back to what you were doing in Mumbai, like kind of the space there. Please tell me more about it. I have like so many questions about art spaces in Mumbai and like how they kind of position themselves in the art world. Because I've heard, right, my grapevine tells me that the scene there is quite commercial, quite like here for rich collectors, rich aunties who want to buy things, and like maybe it's like, what kind of space was it? How does it position itself in like Mumbai's art ecology? Like, what does that look like, actually? Like, what does that literally look like?
I'm not going to be invited back to Mumbai after
this.
No.
Oh my god.
So basically, like,
oh my god. Okay.
This might have to be a... No,
can edit this out, like...
Could do. Or could just be real upfront about it. So, this is... So, oh my god, there's so many things that are just mad about it. Because, okay... The terms that we use in the art scene here, like young emerging, like what does that mean to you? Like young emerging artist?
I mean...
Or just emerging artist rather than young? But...
I guess emerging artist kind of implies that you've done a couple shows, people vaguely know who you are, people come to your shows first of all, but like you're not up there, like you're not like, it doesn't necessarily mean commercial representation, but like your name's out there, you're bandied about a bit. Like, I'm not an emerging artist. I'm like an angry gobshite that's like a bit fuming. Like, I'm not quite there at that level of like emerging artist. Yeah, that's what that means to me.
See, I don't know if I'm an emerging artist. I've had like a 10-year long practice. And And some of my cheeky ex-students would call me like a mid-career artist, which I was just like, get
Rude.
out, just fucking get
Rude.
out. Like, you haven't seen anything yet. Yeah, like, in Mumbai, I had to ask someone, like, what does it mean to be an emerging artist? Because the space that I went to do a residency at said that they nurture emerging artists and, you know, like give them professional development and that kind of thing. And I got there and there was one commercial artist, there was like a Sunday painter, and then there was a recent graduate from the JJ School of Art, who has like a very conservative style of painting. And I was like, rah, where am I? Like, what is this? And I don't know how to like talk to any of you because there's no like infrastructure there. And yeah, it was so weird. So anyway, this friend said to me, oh, emerging means that, you know, you're very successful, you've had numerous solo shows. Like,
emerging, you know. What? You've had many successful solo shows. Emerging, that's established.
That's established, right? I was like, what am I doing here?
Oh,
like,
God.
and so, and also having had you know, you need to have had 20 years experience of doing workshops. I mean, I've had 13. I think that's pretty good. Like,
That's pretty good.
started young, but like
20. How are you going to be emerging at 40?
Do you know
at
what I
40,
mean? Like,
that's like an average of like 40 as a ballpark for an emerging artist.
Yeah.
That's
So I was like, have you
That's
seen
wild.
Stranger Things? I was like, I'm in the upside down. Like, everything is like, I can't, like, I don't understand this place. Like, literally, everything I thought it wasn't, and everything, like, I just had to think of it inside out, and then I got it. It's like- and at some point, I was like, okay, stop trying to like control and preempt everything. Just let Mumbai happen. Just let India happen to you. I was like, okay, it's happening to me. It's happening to me. And then I was like, right, okay, so you're not, you know, because I
just let Mumbai happen.
there you go.
Key wisdom: Mumbai will show you who you are.
Yeah,
Let Mumbai happen.
let
I love
Mumbai
it.
happen to you.
Makes it
Let
sound
India
like-
happen to you.
That makes Mumbai sound like the shadow realm in. Like, oh God. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, this is another thing actually. Someone said to me in Mumbai, maybe in India. I think in Mumbai. So this person also said that the nice people are really nice and the bad people are really bad. And it just like reminds me of these Bollywood films where it's like, I'm a very bad man, you know, like that kind of rhetoric. But yeah, it was just like a Bollywood nightmare at times. You know, people either were super nice or they were just like absolutely horrendous to me. I can't even describe it any other way. But anyway, the art spaces. So I usually deal with like, I don't know, artist-run spaces. Like I like that kind of DIY thing.
Yeah.
You know, if I've ever had time, you know, an opportunity to exhibit in like a better known environment or like festival or something, like that's been really cool. But generally, like I really like working with artist-run spaces. I find a bit more freedom and a bit more like, you know, willingness to accept what I want to do. So I couldn't really find many of those places there, and that was a bit weird. But there was a number of like artist management agencies. So they're like commercial galleries, but also like publishing agencies, and they represent artists and they sell art and they have studios.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, so you're an agency for art, but
I mean, that's
yeah.
quite baffling. Because I mean, the only kind of arts agency I'm aware of is Innova. And they do they do a smashing job, to be honest. They're like, I mean, I think they started off as an agency, didn't they? Back in the day, they were an agency.
I don't know.
Like now, they kind of curate other people's spaces, don't they? Because yeah. So in my mind, that's what I'm thinking of when you're saying artist agency. I imagine it's not what I'm thinking of, like that kind of like nice, benevolent almost, kind of like platforming, like you deserve this, off you go.
Maybe. I don't know, it felt like kind of cliquey. There was a number of things about the residency that I was on which was alarming. So I went into the director's office, which was like a morgue for contemporary art. It was like I've never seen, like, it was a storeroom. It was just like full of paintings, sculptures, like, I don't know, ornaments, just like stacked and piled against each other. Yeah, and I just felt my heart sink. I was just like, because I've got like a few of my sculptures in my studio, but generally things are like around, or like, you know, books or artworks or whatever, films, you know, they circulate or whatever. They're in platforms that, you know, or they get given to people and they move around. And maybe because I don't only paint anymore and I don't only make things, but my heart sunk when I saw that. I was just like, I imagine being in a room with all my artwork, like that would feel so like why isn't it out there somewhere doing something?
Yeah. I feel a bit like it. I'm imagining this now as myself. Like, I feel like, you know, when the ancient Egyptians buried their pharaohs with like everything, I'd feel like that. Like I was in my own literal mausoleum with like all my objects. Like just having my own. I don't even paint. I don't paint, but yeah, I have my own paintings in my bedroom, and I'm like so desperate to get them out. Like just take it, giving them to like my fufu, my Marcy's, everyone, like just have it, like, and like giving it to them and like selling it, like this will be worth some money someday. Like take it off my hands. Like, God, that's a bit bleak.
It was so bleak. It was like it's super commercial. It's like quite cutthroat and. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's some more interesting things going on in Goa, for example.
Okay.
And definitely Delhi as well. So I managed to see I managed to visit Coach while I was in Delhi, and I got to go. It was like slightly out of season actually. So yeah, I didn't really have any art hangouts in Goa, but.
To get fucked up though.
In some ways, yeah. Yeah, we were there for like 4 days. That was bizarre. That's another story.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, that's my next question, I guess.
Okay.
Where else did you go in India? Like,
so just Delhi and Goa, and that was it. Like I was only there for 6 weeks. Yeah. Oh,
only there for 6 weeks.
Only
6 weeks.
Only 6
okay,
weeks.
All right.
Only. Just 6 weeks.
I mean, you were working actually. That's, fair enough.
I was working pretty hard, like all the time. I did manage to have like a couple of days off. So.
I mean, did you get to get some like good food, like that good? Like, did you go Juhu Beach and like eat the pav bhaji and shit yourself inevitably 2 hours after?
I didn't have pav bhaji at the Juhu Beach. I had it at CST, which is like that's another weird thing. They've renamed everything.
Oh.
Chhatrapati Shivaji. Oh God.
What?
Yeah, they've named it after like King Shivaji, like everything. So their process of decolonisation is to recolonise using King Shivaji.
Okay.
Which is
makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
of course.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole other.
Wait,
but
who's King Shivaji? Like
he like I think he defeated the Mughals or something.
Oh.
Wait, I've got a book on it somewhere.
I know very little about actual Indian history apart from like the Raj and stuff. Pre-Raj and like during the Mughal era, like all I know is like from Mughal Azam. That's the extent of my Mughal knowledge. Okay.
I have like limited nothing apart from what I saw when I was out there. But yeah,
that's interesting though.
Yeah, like that was that's definitely something I want to discuss a little bit. But maybe not now actually. But no, Juhu Beach was amazing. Like I got warned about it before I went, so I expected it to be like this really idyllic place, but it's full of litter. People use it as like a toilet, basically. Yeah. But I did meet some people involved in Bollywood when I was out there. Like, yeah. So no one famous like in terms of like their names or anything, but I did meet this woman who was a Bollywood dancer. Of course, a white lady. From Manchester or something.
Oh, bless her. She's having the time of her life.
I was like, you're right, you were here on holiday. And I was like, oh my God, like somebody that I can speak to, like in English. That's really like, yay.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing out here? And she was like, oh, I'm a dancer. And I was like, wow, like what kind of dancing? She's like, oh yeah, I do like Bollywood dancing. I'm in the movies.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is so brilliant. So yeah.
So bizarre as well, like.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I could see that change throughout the 90s. Like,
Definitely.
you slowly had more, like, you know, you had firstly lighter skinned Indian women with like straight noses or like aquiline features, and then gradually you have like, you know, more Caucasian women.
But like, I'm kind of. Have you heard of Amy Adams? Amy Evans?
No.
That girl from Liverpool, and she's just a white lady that's in, I think, it's Tamil film?
Okay.
Tamil or Malayali films, I'm not sure, South Indian films. And like, I remember Tumblr kicking off about her a couple of years back, like back in 2010, like, oh, Amy Adams shouldn't exist. And I actually saw a film with Amy Adams in, and I was like, rah, she's got a raw deal, you know, like there's one film where the people just laugh at her. It's just really funny, like the way kind of, like, I'm alright with it because I'm right with white people in Bollywood and the Indian cinema industry, because the way brown people have been demonised by Hollywood, it's now their turn. They can wear the stupid clothes in Bollywood. They can dance like pillocks. Amy Adams can pretend to be a motorbike in a Tamil film. I'm all right. It's your turn now, babes. Off you go. Honestly, and I like that weird dub voice that they have, where it's like there's a Polish person in the film acting, and then they get some voice actor from Sweden to dub them, and then be like, "Oi, mate, are you from Manchester?" Like that kind of like weird representation.
Oh my god!
That they have in like white people.
I'm gonna look
in
this
Bollywood.
up.
Oh my god! I mean, a good example of it is, I think Jab Tak Hai Jaan. There's a scene in it where Shah Rukh Khan is singing. I think it's the Millennium Bridge. He's obviously meant to be interacting with these people from London, and they all of them sound like they're from like somewhere around Scandinavia or Poland, or maybe like some of that Eastern Bloc, like weird misplaced accent
representation.
Yeah, like it's bizarre. I'm alright with that representation. Aside, you can edit that out. Don't.
This is the book.
Ooh.
I don't know if it's like been taken across Canada, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was.
I'm not gonna lie, what an aesthetic. Like some of their stuff, like I watched that documentary about the girls on the one on Netflix about those girls that are in that, not cult, but like I guess militia. The glossary. Khazi. I don't know. I don't think that's what Khazi means, but okay.
Excuse me. How's it spelled? How's it Khazi spelled?
I'm not sure that's what it means.
Oh.
I don't know what it means. I can't think of it. But I don't know. I don't know about that one. Never heard it really.
It's such a weird little book.
Alia, a lady in epic Ramayana, who was liberated from a stone state by Lord Ram. Oh my god, yeah, I did a reading about her once. Like, I kind of didn't write a poem, I wrote like a thing, and I got Gab to read it. Oh no, that was another one. So I read that one. Okay, ignore me. I've been like academically interested in that because like apparently the story was like that she was turned into a stone by her husband because she was so beautiful. He was kind of angered by the obscenity of her beauty, so he turned her into a stone. But like then also in other accounts, like different regional versions, she was turned into like a dry riverbed, or like she was reduced to bones, or like that she was like left the same, but she had to sleep in ashes or something. And then like she was only freed when Ram touched her with his feet by accident, like kind of brushed across it, and she was kind of like saved from this weird prison of like that was imposed on her because of like the obscenity of her beauty. And I was like, my god, what the fuck, that's fucked up.
I've had some other fucked up stories, but like they're to do with like gender and cross-dressing, which is quite interesting to me. There was one where I can't remember the exact story or the names of the gods involved, but I know that there was like a husband and wife, and the husband was always disappearing off into the woods to meet with like spirits who would give him guidance in his like religious duties, and he would never listen to his wife in her asking him to perform certain religious duties. So she cross-dressed and went into the woods and disguised herself as one of these spirits and appeared to her husband, and that was the way that she was able to speak to him. Which I was just like, yeah, go you, breaking that glass ceiling. But I'll find the story, like it's a...
Oh my God, never heard that one, but I'm like, oh yes, oh my God, yes, sounds amazing. But yeah, what were you talking about before we went to the map? Ratnagiri.
Oh yeah, Ratnagiri.
Ratnagiri.
Yeah.
Sorry. What were you doing there?
So I was visiting the house that my mother lived in for 10 years, and the house that my granddad left when he was between 9 and 11. Like, we're not really sure, but
So
he
young.
was super young, and he was orphaned by that age as well. So let's say by 11 he was an orphan. And through some research, which isn't on the website yet, I found out that I think he was married in India, but maybe got divorced, although not a lot of my family know that, including my dad. Sorry, Dad. So yeah, some mad stuff like that. But yeah, he had a house there, which he left to his brother, and that's in Chiplen, or like there's Chiplen and Poffley and Kalastar, and there's a river that runs through that called the Vishishti River. So I was doing all my research like on Google Maps and like looking at pictures, and there's also supposedly a shrine there dedicated to one of our ancestors. Yeah, which is kind of mad. And so I've been told about this shrine, and like this knowledge has been passed down through my family that supposedly there's a shrine, and it's all it's been ordained that like the son in each family must go and visit that shrine and like pay respects to our ancestor and leave offerings. But of course there's no boys in my family, we're 4 girls. So and actually the one of the 3 photos of me in India is one of me sat on the steps of the shrine. So I wanted to see what it was like, and I looked it up on Google, and there's one entry of it there's a book called Hindu and Muslim Separatic Shrines, and it mentions this shrine in it. Because of the location, it must be that one that's talking about. However, it's spelled differently. Like it's like spelling of it's not quite right, or it says that it's like somebody, but the name's spelled slightly wrong. So I was talking to my uncle about this, and I was like, why is it spelled differently? Like, why is it a different person's name? And like, is it anything to do with us? And he was saying like, yes, it is, but these stories aren't written down, so like we don't have records. Like records is a very British thing. There was no records pre-British, so things got
spelling in that specific right? Yeah,
exactly. So like he said if you go looking for this place, someone might call it something else. It might be a different place. So I was also looking up on Google Maps and looking for like the nearest local site to it and road names, and trying to also map, so that this photograph of me sat on the steps of it, trying to like match a building that looks like that. Excuse me, and I managed to find one in the location on Google Maps. And then I also have a cousin who went out there like just December just passed actually. So I was asking him how he got there. And so with his directions, which are kind of like, get on a boat, go down the river, ask them to take you to this place, get off the boat, and then walk up the hill, and you're there. And I'm like,
if you hit the tree, you've gone too far.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of like follow the leaves kind of thing. So okay. So the only thing I had as kind of guidance was this river. So I wanted to go back, and I wanted to see where this site was again, like linking it back to architecture and architectural sites that are left behind through memory, through trauma, how they exist now, how they're inhabited, and the idea that it's a shrine that's like exists in my family history was like spooky but also wonderful. So I was like, I've got to go there. So yeah, I tried to
Did you get there? Did you find it?
This is the last thing, you know, because like basically, there's no basically about it. Once I got to Ratnagiri, the phone that I got in Mumbai stopped working, so I had no like 4G. I had no way of like calling anybody. I had no internet. There was no internet anywhere. That was difficult. So all I had were these like directions on my phone that I was using offline, and then I was asking local people, but again, the road names were different. The road names had been changed. The directions weren't really valid. So also it was like the height of summer, and following a river.
Oh God.
Like most of that river wasn't there. Like what would normally be really plush green, like waterfalls in that area, in monsoon, is like dried, arid, like completely like burnt up grass. In fact, a lot of the forest was just like setting itself on fire. Like the jungle, sorry, was setting itself on fire just like randomly.
Oh my God.
Because it's so hot, and I'm like, rah, how can I find this river, let alone like get anyone to... Doing that as a woman as well is even more difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
And like my cousin being a boy was able to do that and get down there.
On your own?
I was travelling with my mum at that point,
Okay.
yeah. So she came out for that leg of it.
Oh
Yeah,
my God, I didn't
which
know
was-
that.
Yeah.
How nice though that you
Which
both
is-
did that together.
Yeah.
But you didn't find it, I'm guessing.
No, I found it.
After all of that?
So basically,
Oh my God,
like,
there is a... I'm so glad. I got like so caught up in that. I was like, oh no, I really want her to have found it. I want her to... Like,
so this is the mad thing because like those like 4 days I was in Ratnagiri, and then like a week in Mumbai with my mum and my auntie. So we only really spent like a week together though. But my mum was like quite pious and religious, and you know she would happily like pray and give religious offerings anywhere, any one of these like temples or any one of these mosques. She's not fussy, but I was like, it's really important to the project and the Arts Council that I go to this place, so I need to go to this place.
how am I going to evaluate this?
Exactly, like...
Unless I find it.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get to the shrine because there was no river. But also for me, I was just like, rah, I've done all of this.
Yeah.
I've come out during a Mercury retrograde to find that I'm in the fucking, like... You know, that should be the best time to go back to somewhere that you've been before, but it was the worst. But anyway, so I tried to get there by boat. Again, got ripped off, got hustled by these guys who, like, firstly overcharged us loads, and then also sent us to, like, the wrong place, around the houses, to a different shrine, and I was like, this ain't the shrine from the picture. Because also, geographically, or, like, looking at, you know, where the trees are, where the mountains are, and distance, nothing matched. And I was like, this is so... You know, through my limited architectural knowledge or like forensic topographical knowledge, I was just like, nothing matches here. But eventually I found, so I managed to get onto the internet firstly, and I copied a map from Google Maps from where like the riverbeds lie. And so like, yeah, following this like pencil drawn map in my sketchbook, managed to like give that to somebody, and I said, you know, through my mum speaks really good Hindi, so she like translated for me, and asked like the boat people to like take us as far as they could to like Kalista Bridge, and then from there to walk and then get rickshaw. And so the first shrine that we went to wasn't the right one. The second one, we got in a rickshaw. I said, you know, I'm looking for Pathan Karad Road. So also this road is like named after, like it's my surname, which was also another really random mad thing. I was like, oh my God, there's like a road named after like my family? What? So of course I get there, and generally like anything like Muslim related has been like, you know, like decolonized or like replaced or just, you know, erased. So we followed the Karad Chiplin Road, which is what it's now called, for as long as we could. And then we get to this shrine, we get to this mosque, and it's quite different from the picture. The picture that I found on Google Maps is like a really old one. But yeah, I found it, got there, and it was like really amazing and weird. So there was like a big shrine in the middle, and then lots of other smaller shrines at the back. And I went in, and this guy with Like, so he had this, I think he was like, I don't know, to call him an imam or something? I don't know.
Imam?
The keeper of the shrine.
Oh, I don't know.
No idea.
Qazi?
Hmm?
Is that what a Qazi is? I don't know.
Qazi, maybe. Oh, yeah.
Imam, I always think that's the guy that gives the sermons and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what, like, yeah, so he kind of, he was like, why have you come here? And I was like, I can't possibly explain, like, why have I come here? Because people go there for offerings and to get blessed and, you know, and then I was suddenly like, oh yeah, maybe I should do something.
Yeah.
But I left some flowers there, and then he had this like long brush made of peacock feathers, and he like tapped me on the head, and I was like, oh my god, what's going to happen now? And then yeah, that was it when we left. But it was, yeah, quite an amazing journey to make. And obviously not being a boy, it was a bit like, why are you here?
What offerings have you come to make, please?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that was what I was doing there, and filming, and I got some footage of that. But it was really like going around Agra and Delhi that I wanted to actually film around there and actually make the work, but I'm gonna have
So
to.
what footage you lost?
Yeah.
I remember the elephant as well.
Yeah.
So sad.
But I think, I mean, coming back to like this idea of having a culture which is like removed from you, or like you're removed from it, and you kind of have to make up this imaginary culture that you live in, so it becomes real.
Yeah.
And I think that's always been present in my work. And to suddenly, like, of course, make it a very personal project, but to suddenly show the real, so that, like, in a kind of evidence-based way would be not very fitting.
Yeah. I guess almost kind of like making it real by capturing it and like being like committed to like this form as an image, as a video, as, you know, image.
Yeah.
Like having a kind of graven image of it almost outside your mind. Feels misplaced. Maybe it's good that the camera ate all that footage, yeah. Upside to everything.
Yeah. I have...
Let's tell the Arts Council that.
Yeah, I'll tell the Arts Council that. I think like, I have to look at it in a good way.
Yeah.
Despite like crying for a few days.
Oh, bless you.
But yeah, it was like, I was so, yeah, it was devo.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I going to do now? But actually, I think it would be like it would take a really uncomfortable form in my practice to do that. To just go, oh, I'm this kind of artist now. I'm like in touch with my roots. Like, this is where I'm from.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't have a fucking clue. And that's the point of it all. Like, I've come back from there and I'm like, yeah, it's still in the same place. Yeah. I've also met some amazing people who have also had the same journey. Like, the people that I met in India who were, you know, whilst I was growing up in the UK, challenging and resisting certain parts of the culture that don't work for me or don't represent me, they were also doing that in India. And we're doing that at the same time. And that's the most connected I felt to Indian culture and to my roots.
Kind of alliance between you as someone who's resisting the conservative elements of, you know, quite a lot of conservative elements of our culture, you know, combined not homogenous in that way, but like, you know, there are certain kind of common denominators between all areas of India, aren't there? And that must have been affirming, kind of forming an alliance with these people that were doing the same thing as you, and then they're still Indian AF, like, you know. I feel like, I mean, if you don't get to like have that kind of agency to choose which parts suit you, I don't know if that's sincere, you know, like, I don't know if that's I don't know if you are like Indian AF just because you take everything and you're like, right, I'm going to take the whole hog, like these BJP aunties that like went to go see Modi at like Wembley Stadium, like them, like are you really actually Indian Af? Like how fucking cringy are you being? You're so unable to like critique something that you're part of that is you are like we're like yeah, well, all right, fine, whatever, call us NRIs or whatever, but you know, you've got to be able to stand outside of it and kind of manhandle it. And I'm kind of really glad that you found a solidarity between you and people in India that were doing some. What were they doing? What was the site of their?
All sorts of different things. So a bunch of mates that I made through like a family friend actually, or like once, twice removed family friend. So one's an adventurer.
Oh my god!
And like skydives.
Yes,
I think he will watch this.
You have a fucking sick job. Like I want to be an adventurer. Imagine business cards with that on. Hi,
almost adventurer of the world.
Hi, I'm an explorer.
Yeah, exactly. Like also just women who pick up cameras and go shooting stuff. Like amazing. And like an English lecturer, a comedian.
These amazing people in Mumbai. Like for me, that kind of reaffirms that. That this project is kind of like not just an archive. That I mean, I guess it's two different kind of archives as well. Like these other people kind of documenting their stories and like keeping hold of that and bringing that kind of opening that up for other people as well to kind of dip into. Not just to like record, but to like sort of function as an archive. But also to kind of, I guess, document quite a tender, sensitive kind of journey, for want of a much better word. I hate that. I hate that I just said that. But like, yeah, to kind of document this weird, awkward, clunky, tender, sensitive return of like that homecoming. And I also wonder, perhaps, the website, is there any, like, all these things you're telling me, like, where does that sit in the website? Because apart from, like, the documentation, is that why we're doing this? Is that so that you can document, like, your part of the story?
I don't know. I mean, I wonder if, like, I wonder how much of, like, my own part of the story I'll use. I could use it as part of this for sure, but it's a difficult one because in a way, because I've like selected those participants or put the call out as a specific way, in a way that tells my story without me needing to.
I mean,
but then
kind of true, yeah.
There's this other part of it which I've just told you about, which is like going on this like journey. And then meeting these people, visiting that shrine that aren't in the website. And for me, it's like negotiating whether that is part of the research and how valid that is as research in an academic sense.
It definitely is.
And then I think it is. Yeah. And I like, that's the basis for doing these interviews. But in terms of like my story, I would like that to come through in my work. And having been negotiated and in a way mentored and in a way like I don't know, someone used this word corroborated recently, like corroborated with a number of people, whether they're participants or like friends or whatever, mentors, or just like having hangouts with people in these places and how those all come together. And I would like that to come together in writing in some way, for sure, so that's kind of acknowledged in text. But in terms of like the work that I make off the back of this, I want so much of that to be in the work that's exhibitable, because like the research can circulate in a way, like it's online, it's accessible everywhere that is online, but there are some areas like whether it's, you know, that journey through, like down the river that wasn't a river, or like the feeling created when you are returning somewhere that you have no memory of, or that you feel a somewhat connection to, or like even going into a culture which you feel like you've lived your whole life, but everything has been toned down, like to be like a kind of like filtered, like unobtrusive version of what that is, and then
not quite the real thing. It's like splendour,
yeah,
isn't it?
It's like
it's not.
Yeah.
I can tell it's not sugar. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And there's got to be a place for this like really loud like reintroduction to like something that you believed was yours your whole life. I mean, how can I describe it? I think like going there, I felt like I was having sensory overload like every minute of every day, and then coming back, I think there's something in coming back here to my home, which I can only really describe through making artwork, and I think can't be captured either in like the text or in the interviews or in the workshops, and those are the, you know, it's that feeling and that moment of like returning home and feeling like you're not touching anything or really hearing anything or really seeing anything, because everything's toned down. It's like going from like seeing intense bright colours to seeing like pastel shades and smelling things which are, you know, putrid but also like intensely exotic, to then, I don't know, like mango scented hand lotion, and you're like, what?
Strongly relate. This is what it's like when I come back from Dhaka. Like it feels like everything. I'm like looking at everything from behind like a window. Like it's that kind of muffled sound of like that's what it feels like. And it's interesting that you say that there has to be some kind of like output. Something needs to come out. Like it needs to kind of like tap that or like do something with that energy. Because the last time I went to Dhaka, I made a film, and like that's what I made when I came back. And it's a really weird film. Like I kind of made it thinking this is going to be my art. This is going to be my art, and it wasn't. It wasn't at all. Like it is so far outside the realm of my practice, and actually calling it art feels really violent for me. Like it's a film. Like that's what it is. It sits outside of my practice, and it's over there, and it just is there. And it's like such a vulnerable, tender, open nerve, like open wound, like raw nerve. Like kind of when you touch it, it flinches, and in a way, I can kind of. I strongly identify with that, but then also, God, what are you going to do with all this stuff? Like after coming back from India, you've got to do something.
I know.
Got to do something. We're like, oh my God, what?
Well, this is it. Like I'm having the same kind of questions that you are, and the same kind of feelings in a way. With the footage from the shrine or just photographs, it's like, you know, that is hitting that nerve, and like, you know, knowledge around it. Like apparently that ancestor who the shrine's named after was like one of the spiritual advisors of King Shivaji. The dude from the comic book, you know, the BJP comic book. Where does that go? Like, where does it, and I completely relate to what you're saying about like calling it art. Feels violent actually. Yeah. Like, I don't think I want that. Like that footage, or that photograph of me sat on the steps of the shrine, and that footage in the shrine, and that, you know, that journey of getting there to be in a white walled space. Yeah. I don't know if I want people peering in there actually. Yeah. And then what do I do with it? Yeah. So
it's almost like the violence of being looked at. Like how do you kind of, and I worry about this. I do worry about it. Like the kind of course, we've got to accept that. That's actually a separate question. You were saying something. Go on.
Yeah, well, you know, this is it. Like, the violence of being peered at or observed, and you know, almost like critically evaluated through someone's perception according to a set of values or pre-existing ideas or conditions, and being displayed within like the realm of contemporary art, which is continually like unstoppably reflecting neoliberalist values, and also like
rapidly commercialised.
yeah, and like fascism as well, growing fascism, and I'm just like, do I want that in there? You know, do I want to? And like,
call it that. Like,
in some ways, do I have time for that? Like, and I feel really torn between this, between like just existing on a daily basis and just getting myself out of bed or like out through the front door to make that and present that, and having to fight every fucking battle that comes along with doing that. And I think, do I want to present something that raw?
Absolutely exhausting. And like that, the thing that you have to protect it, that you've made this thing and like you've thrown it to the wolves almost, and now you've got to defend it. Like when you were talking about doing this project 10 years ago and like it just not being entertained at art school, I'm glad that you waited this amount of time so that you almost didn't have to defend it, like in that arena. It's difficult. Because like so often making feels like such a kind of like it feels like the process of making a fucking Horcrux, I swear to God. Doesn't it? It feels like I'm making something and like I'm ripping my soul into, and like especially when it's so personal, so vulnerable, and like you're in such a vulnerable position. You've got to be quite careful with that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Keep me. I'm going to stay tuned to find out what you do with it, just because. I'm going to make sure it's like given the attention and the context it deserves.
Thank you.
But is that something you are worried about? The fact that, you know, not only is the art world like neoliberal, fascist, commercialised, but you know, majority of you know, London's, not just London's, you know, Britain's art audience is white and middle class, and that comes with, like, of course that comes with certain connotations, and as progressive as the art world claims to be, you know, art by people of colour is viewed in a particular way, especially when it's about kind of, you know, and that whole Valdemar Janusák thing of like identity artists need to look outside of themselves and into the world, and you know, stop focusing on your identity when there's Trump, and like that, the way that art that addresses the artist's identity, the way that that's seen. Are you worried about how people are going to see the archive and what it does? That's a leading question, because you must be.
I mean, I've already like succumbed to the idea that the audiences that I've built up through the last 10 years of my practice, the majority of them would not be interested in this project at all. And I've already resigned myself to the fact that I've lost those audiences, actually. So, I mean, and that doesn't bother me, because the audiences that I think it's partly my responsibility as a human, I don't know, like an artist of South Asian or East African Asian descent, to build those audiences. We don't have those audiences because we've never had the art to reflect those audiences in the first place. So I'm making this stuff, and yeah, I might only get like 5 hits on it, but that's because people don't know about it, and when they know about contemporary art, or they hear about it, they're like, oh, that's for white middle class people, and or I'm not allowed to do that, you know, Indian girls don't do that kind of thing. And for me, like when I went to art school, I didn't know a single brown person doing art. Like I think actually I had one, my friend's sister who was an artist, who's a painter, and she went to art school, but I didn't know a single person making a living from that, or having a family. I didn't know any brown woman having a family. I didn't know any like brown, gay, Muslim woman doing that. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Like, who can I look to for any point of reference or any reflection in the world or any representation? It's like incredibly isolating. And I'm starting to find that through just doing this project now, which is amazing, because not only can I see how that is possible, but I'm so aware of the legacy that it's leaving, because there wasn't a legacy for it before, like it didn't exist. Yeah. So that's so exciting for me. So, and I think part of the risk that I take as an artist, and I have to, I'm bound to, and I can't avoid taking, is the audience thing.
Yeah.
You know, risking your audience and being like, actually, I'm going to do something new now. I'm going to do something that you're not ready for, but I'm ready to do it, and it's going to happen. And yeah, take the gamble and take the risk and go, okay, you know, maybe you don't see yourself in this. Maybe, you know, you, cis white male, can't see yourself in my work. But guess what? It's not about you.
Yeah.
So
it's so wild that it feels like it's almost an innately radical act to put your body in the work. Just that, nothing more. You could be making like a fucking redo of Manet's Déjeuner sur l'herbe, but just putting your body as like a, just as a, not even as a woman of colour, like as a person of colour. Just that is like innately so fucking rad.
yeah.
Like, and that makes sense now. Thinking about it, as like that gamble is going to inevitably pay off. Just because, I mean, that's part of what Stuart Hall kind of talks about as well. The way, like, or is it? I don't know. I think this was so long ago. I'm tapping into like a knowledge that I kind of like was familiar with so long ago, and like now I've kind of familiarised, but like in like a kind of, in a way that I've kind of like, I'm paraphrasing, and I've been paraphrasing for so long. So, but like that thing of like, we sit here and like we think to ourselves, oh, there's no canon. I'm not part of a canon. You know, there's no kind of art history that references me. But actually, there has been. It's just been systematically erased, and this is where that changes, where we kind of put ourselves out there, and then also document. And like insist, we have to insist that the archives include us, or if they don't, we take that space and we recreate it on our own terms, don't we? Like, you've got to do that. Like, otherwise history forgets again. And it's just, you know, just because that's the way, you know, white society wants it to be. You know, it thinks, you know, that systematic erasure it's systematic, isn't it? It's for a purpose. There's no question there again. I'm just so gassed for this. I'm so gassed for this. Like, I'm like, yes, oh my God. I have no questions for you. Only gas, like pure gas.
Awesome. Well, this is what I was like up against in the beginning, because I was thinking, okay, like, you know, it's a very British and colonialist thing to archive, to make records.
Yeah.
And for that reason, like, you know, historically, like, we've been erased and wiped out of records because, like, oh, they're not really relevant, or they don't really reflect how we want to manicure history. And this isn't, like, in some ways I've curated that because I've made the selections, I've edited it, etc. And I've done so very carefully as to not erase, like, really important parts of, you know, someone's story and very different stories. So for me, it's actually, like, because I don't speak my first 7 languages, because I can't go back home, and because there's so much of my history that I don't know and will never really get to know, like, and there's so many of us, we, who exist in that, it's crucial that I take the step to do that and take the risk to do that. And I'm at a point in my practice where I'm like, hey, do you know what? I'm not scared of what I'll lose anymore. Yeah. Because I can only gain this amazing archive. I've gained, like, conversations with these awesome people, knowledge about myself and how we exist in the world as, like, these strange, like, diasporic, I don't know, bodies, entities, stories, how we connect with each other, what we reflect, what we represent. And instead of feeling like a singular I that does not fit anywhere, like, I felt like I belonged to something. And yeah, I don't know, I'm going off topic, but that's just it. Like, it,
that feeling, like,
feels like so fucking awesome because I have something to, like, look at and go, I don't know, just a point of reference. And it feels like it does feel like a radical step to question all of those things. But I've gone slightly off topic, so
no,
I just,
not at all. Like, that feeling of, like, yes, this is it, these are my people, strongly identify. That feeling of, like, seeing yourself and kind of, like, it makes everything so much easier. And, like, for me, like, it was finding my friend Seema at uni. Like, we were I think one of 3, 4 brown girls at CSM, and like that moment where we like first day locked eyes across the room and we were like, hello, what's your name? Like that moment of kind of recognition of like, we're the same. And you see, I wouldn't trade that. I would not trade that for like at all. It's so so valuable. It means so much, and you can't really quantify it. So like, actually, yeah, I shouldn't have asked that question about the white audience being worried about them, because like, why would you? Why would you trade that?
Well, I was super worried for like, I think my whole life, because that moment you were describing, I didn't have that until this project. So even though that I was one of 4 South Asian like people from South Asian descent on my BA, and
do they have a quota?
No.
Weird that you had 4 and I had 4.
Oh. Yeah, but there was no black people on our course.
Same. One or 2 maybe, but
I wonder why that was then. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Sorry. Yeah. No, that's super interesting. Though yeah, but I didn't have that with them, and I never had it at school either, because of this whole like, oh, you're Muslim but you're not Bangladeshi, or Pakistani, so you're not really a Muslim, and like, yeah, you're brown but you're not Hindu, so like it's, you know, never fitting into any one of those things, and oh, you know, you don't have a strong identity because your family didn't live through partition, like, so actually you've got, you know, fuck all to do with India or Pakistan, because you didn't have that shared trauma. So like, I think if I'd grown up in Hounslow or Leicester, like I would have been able to have that moment with, you know, quite frequently, but not having that, I think it like really cool for me to do this on a personal level. But also like, I've been shown so much strength through the participants that I've interviewed, like immense amount of strength. Just amazing. I mean, you know, having to acknowledge like class, background, like just going through descriptions of yourself or myself as like a darker skinned brown woman, and addressing things like class, addressing things like sexuality as well, and being shown the strength to be able to do that, whereas actually 10 years ago at the start of my art career, I was fucking terrified of alienating my white audiences. So to me, I think also we're at a point now where people, like, it's fashionable to be woke, and even though there's like loads of fake woke people around, like people are trying, and acknowledging fragility. So I've surprised myself in how many white audience members I can retain through this, and how many people have actually, like, you know, show their interest in it. That wasn't from my intended audience, but I don't know, there's, what I want to get past is this, you know, this idea that it's so radical to show your brown arse in your video work, like that shouldn't be a radical thing, and I think that the more that we are able to infiltrate these spaces and say, this isn't radical, but it means something, and this is not a political statement. Your brown skin is not a political statement. It's not a positioning of conservative identity. It's not, you know, it is how you present it. It is what you want it to be. It is who you are.
It should be fucking banal.
Exactly. It should just be like, why aren't you used to seeing this already?
Yeah.
And I think, like, we're on the way, definitely.
I mean, I am quite hopeful about this, because in my mind, I know loads of kids whose, like, parents did that struggle, they did the slog, you know, they got their kids to that point where they're off to, like, good unis now, like all my kind of brown mates from, you know, not where I lived, I don't know, not many brown people in the Green. When I was growing up anyway, but you know, but like all these brown kids going to school, like, you know, good unis, doing dentistry, law, whatever, doing those professions. I have hope, because when you think about like the white kids that are at art school, they're all fucking. That's who their parents are, innit? They're the dentists, they're the doctors, they're the lawyers. But like, I just think, and those brown kids who've done their pharmacology degree, they've made that money, they've done that hustle, they've got their nice house in some gated community somewhere down in Hertfordshire or whatever. They're going to send their kids to art school. Their kids are going to go to art school. It's just about populating, isn't it?
Oh my god!
It's about being like, you know, it's about production and populating and taking up space and being visible.
So you think it will take like that one more generation?
Yeah. I reckon when I'm, I don't know, what time do people have? When do people have kids? Fuck. I guess I'm going to give it 30 years. I'll make a bet with you.
Yeah, 30 years.
30 years.
2017.
Then, oh no, hold on, wait. Then, like, you know, those kind of kids will be in art school, and then give them another 10 years to maybe, you know, mid-career. I reckon give it like 30, 40 years.
Okay.
We'll be on our way, on track.
I'm struggling to imagine this, but I think I can imagine it. Like, Biddy, I want you to be an artist. a sculptor artist. A video artist. Yeah.
I just imagine that when Mum, I want to go to art school. Oh, darling, that sounds lovely. Ooh. Charlotte's daughter's going to art school as well. Ooh, so much. Oh, lovely. Oh, yeah, like, imagine that kind of, like, networking of, like, your parents, like, kind of being like, oh, well, that'd be lovely. Ooh. Like a very middle-class sensibility. I can imagine that.
Yeah?
Proper can, yeah. Right. 40 years.
Yeah.
I'll see you in 40 years. And just you wait, you'll owe me some money. Like.
How much money?
How much do you want to put on it? Oh, my God.
Tenner, yeah.
Right, sound.
Yeah. Hopefully, depending on how things go with Brexit, that could either be, like, make you rich or make you really, I don't know.
To take Brexit into consideration, maybe not. Oh.
That's the equivalent of, like...
All the same.
10p. 40 years, something with Brexit.
All the same, in 2057, I will see you. Bet. Okay.
It's on.
Yeah.
It's on, definitely.
This hand is really sweaty. I'm so sorry. I've been, like, hiding it under my arm, like...
That's fine. It's actually got really warm in here.
Yeah.
I think maybe I could open the door again.
Oh,
yeah. Let me just do it real quick.
I mean, I guess my only questions are to do with... Like Leicester, and what went on there, like a bit more about that. But do you want to take a little break? Do you want to have a cigarette or?
Yeah, that'd be good. Are you a smoker?
Yes.
Yay.